So let me tell you a little bit where I'm coming from about Israel. Everybody sitting? We're okay? All right, good. We're going to have a talk. All right, you're not, I am. We'll talk later. I grew up in a household that was absolutely understood itself as Zionist. No question about it. We lived on Long Island. Our synagogue built, what are those called? Floats, right? Floats for parades? Yeah. So it's been a while. So we had our own floats that we would build for the Israel Day Parade in New York City. And all of these people of all ages, kids, older adults, everybody in the middle, we would all participate, got these great T-shirts, and we would go and march for Israel. In my house, and I've shared some of this before, I know, but in my house after Shabbat dinner, and we'd say blessings before and after the meal, and when there was special guests come, we'd play these Israeli peace songs, hoping for no more war. We would move the furniture in our living room, which looking back was pretty much the size of this table, and we would do Israeli folk dancing. There was this picture prominent in the living room where we were only allowed to enter after Shabbat. Otherwise, we couldn't use the front door because it was new carpeting in the 70s, that shag carpeting. I had to take off my shoes. But in this special room that we had, our living room, there was this portrait that our congregant painted of Jimmy Carter, Anwar Sadat, and Menachem Begin after they sign the Camp David Accords and make peace between Israel and Egypt. I was taught by my mother, whose favorite human being was Golda Meir, that the prime minister of Israel was like the prime minister of the entire Jewish people. And I felt that for much of my life. And when Yitzhak Rabin was murdered, assassinated by another Jew, a fundamentalist Jew, I cried because I had that. I felt that. And it was right after he went to a peace rally, being so optimistic, singing a song of peace, Shir LeShalom, a song of peace, and then a Jewish fundamentalist murders him. My first time I went to Israel was when I was 17. I went with the Reform Movement's youth movement with Nifty. It raised a lot of questions, so I had to go back. I went for a year of study in college. I lived and worked on a kibbutz. I became an expert at picking avocados and fixing irrigation pipes for the almond trees, which was great fun because Israel's shortage of water, it was all neutralized sewage water, so I smelled for 2 years. So I lived and worked in all of that stuff, and when I finished my college years, I even worked in Israel-oriented Zionist organizations and social change, social justice organizations relating to Israel and Israel's work. Even I lived in Israel for one more year, my first year of rabbinical school, and after that, at the end of rabbinical school, when everybody's doing these theses and research projects on obscure topics in Jewish life or scholars, mine was about Israeli democracy. And I share this because I've spent my whole life, I think, as one who promoted relationships with Israel, defended Israel, shared how special it is to be a Zionist when so much of the world calls it a dirty word. And I'm standing before you, humbly and gently, to tell you that for me, I'm still a Zionist. I am. My Zionism is aspirational. Israel is a centerpiece of my Judaism. Israel, for me, is the embodiment of hope in Judaism, of what life ought to be like. The rabbis of old would say there's actually two Jerusalems. There's a heavenly Jerusalem and an earthly Jerusalem. And while there's pain and hardship and conflict in the earthly Jerusalem, even God won't enter the heavenly Jerusalem. And I found that to be such Gosh, such a beautiful teaching that God won't enter this place that we aspire to, Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, Ir Shalem, Ir Shalom, a city of peace, that even God won't enter the city of peace in the heavens until there's peace in the city of peace on earth. And it seems to always escape us. Just always escapes us all through the centuries, millennia. So with that as its core, and my mom talking about Golda Meir in my ear, it's heartbreaking for me to see what's happening in Israel, to see Jewish Israeli citizens would elect and empower what I consider to be a morally corrupt, divisive, fundamentalist individuals creating a government, using their power for the time being to create a state of Israel in their own image. And I object, because Israel is too important. We can talk about and challenge one another about left of center, right of center. We can talk about the ideals of Zionism and some of its challenges. Where has it missed the mark? We could talk about all of those things. But Israel is so much more than its government. And right now, I am saying to my congregation and to friends who are joining us and folks that are online, whomever they are, and I don't even know, that I'm heartbroken to see what's happening with Israel. In the words from leaders from a think tank committed to a two-state solution, it's called the Israel Policy Forum, they are, I think that it's a really solid and thoughtful organization. And in a recent program, they described a few things. That Israel's government is disempowering its judiciary at the moment, and it's dismantling its democratic systems. The current government is entrenching Israeli control over the West Bank, condemning Palestinians to a stateless future, and exacerbating violence and terror. And I think they're correct in that analysis. But I also think they're correct in this message. We can't only condemn what we oppose. We have to support and speak up for what we value and what we celebrate, what is right and what is just. I believe that the state of Israel has to be an important place as a Jewish state, but it can't really be a Jewish state to me if it's not also going to be a democratic one, rooted in the rule of law, and a space that's safe for all of its citizens. The other thing that I'll say, I think the occupation for all of these years is poisoning Israel's democracy, and it's been doing it for decades. And not only that, the current government is trying to change the face of Israel's High Court of Justice. A dangerous, dangerous act. So it would be able to function only as far as Israel's parliament would let it. And yeah, that's dangerous in a democratic country. I think part of what we see with this current Israeli government and its administration isn't just to see the challenges of what judicial review should be, or how the court, or who selects the court, any of those issues. But they also want to redefine the law of return and say the way to understand someone who is Jewish is going to be based on classic Jewish law, halakha. That has enraged Jews all over the world, because the law of return, where one can return to Israel as a citizen and have automatic citizenship, it is a much broader category than that according to Israeli law. But to have it focused only by a halachic definition of who is a Jew, how many of us will that count out? even if one isn't interested in making Aliyah and moving to Israel, the sense that the state of Israel, which we've always said is ours, but that the government actually says, no, it's not really mine. It's heartbreaking. And security is turning the other way, not holding Jewish extremists accountable for their own acts of terror, yet wanting to introduce the death penalty for Palestinian terrorists. Israel doesn't have a death penalty for any crime except for one: crimes against humanity. And there's only been one person who has been executed under such a crime: Adolf Eichmann, a leader of the SS and the orchestrator for Hitler's final solution. Otherwise, there is no death penalty in Israel's government. So I want to suggest to us, I don't really want to suggest, I want to plead with you, with all of us. I think American Jews have to be essential participants in the unfolding of the story of Israel. Essential, as it always has been. Support, financial support, political support. We have been important partners. But the building of Israel's roads now, all right, they should take care of their own potholes. Their playgrounds, their own taxpayers can take care of it. We have to be partners in building Israeli democracy, a society built on the rule of law. That is where the American Jewish community has the most to offer. And if we don't believe that we have a role in this, I don't think we're really living up to Jewish responsibilities. Jacob ben Asher, an amazing thinker of the 14th century, I know all of you know of him, he wrote this book called The Torah. And he wrote very simply, in the 14th century, that a judiciary is critical because without it, whoever has the power will rule simply by virtue of that power. One of our sages saw it hundreds of years ago. So I know some of you might be saying, we have enough problems here. Let's focus on this. All right, I hear you. But for me, I think there's a spiritual and Jewish connection to peoplehood why we can't give up on Israel. Because it's government speaking. And governments change. And people change. And we function often from very particular contexts. We can't forget that more than half of Israel's Jewish population came from countries with no tradition of democracy. And we might think that such a person would be more inclined to protect democracy and human rights, but it's so often the opposite. That if we've been beaten up all of these years, I'm ready for a fight. And that's what happens a little bit in Israeli society. Nothing is so clear-cut. Not here and not there. So let me share two excerpts with you that I think are driving forces for me. One, they're both kind of spiritual, but one is also a little political. You ready? Good, you don't have a choice. Abraham Joshua Heschel, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. Everybody raises up his name because he marched with Dr. King and was a major advocate in the civil rights movement, and we want to quote Heschel all of the time. My pastor friends, they always quote Heschel. I need to tell them about other Jewish activists. This is what Abraham Joshua Heschel says in July of 1967, 1 month after the Six-Day War. He says, Israel's vital interest in peace has been expressed again and again. What is holy about the Holy Land? It's not only because its space is filled with frozen echoes of a voice heard in the past. Eretz Israel is a prelude, an anticipation. The Holy Land is regarded as the place where the divine plan of history can unfold its pristine and unique meaning. He says, the land of Israel has been sanctified by the words of the prophets, by the suffering of a whole people, by the tears and prayers of thousands of years, by the labor and dedication of pioneers. Such sanctity is precious to God, vital to the people, a light within history. The state of Israel is not only a place of refuge for the survivors of the Holocaust, but also a tabernacle for the rebirth of faith and justice, for the renewal of souls, for the cultivation of knowledge. He is teaching us that Israel is so much more than a location or the sanctuary to run to. It is the place that embodies hope for us, hope for a better tomorrow, wherever we may live, no matter what country it is. And Israel is supposed to be the physical source for that. I want that. I want that. The other piece that I wanted to share with you, in May of 1948, David Ben-Gurion stands in Tel Aviv in what used to be a museum, and knowing that the British are about to leave that Shabbat, he needs to tell people, what are we going to do when the British occupation, the British mandate is over, and the British are walking out with their flags. And Ben-Gurion announced the state of Israel. Nobody knew what it was going to be called. It might have been like Herzlland or something, but they called it Israel. And in this incredible declaration of independence, it says something really amazing. It says that nobody is going to be discriminated against because of their race, creed, sex, religious identity. It was going to secure holy places for all people of faith. That wasn't what the Jewish experience was when Jordan, at that time Transjordan, was holding over certain holy spaces. And yet, one of the first countries in the world to give women the vote. There is something exceptional about this Declaration of Independence, but it's not a constitution. It's a vision statement. Folks, I think that Heschel's idea is absolutely embedded in this 1948 Declaration of Independence. And that independence document comes from decades, thousands of years even, of Jewish living. So I share all of this with you because I don't want us to give up on Israel, no matter how frustrated or angry some of us might be. I don't think we should, and I don't think we can. I don't think Israel can afford it. Because if we walk away, the voids are going to be filled. So I made a little document. It was outside on the little table. I even made it pretty colors on the top. And it tells you what you can do. You can write to the Consul General in Los Angeles representing the state of Israel. The Consul General in New York resigned his position in the past week or so. You can write to or call the Israeli consulate and share what you think. I would encourage us all to support the Israeli movement for progressive Judaism in Israel. I do. Not just because it's our movement or sister congregations, but because I was just in Israel and I saw a lot of hopelessness, a lot of people hurting, and I think they need a relevant Jewish spiritual outlook from the Reform movement that can give them strength and help them carry on, because as you can see with hundreds of thousands of people demonstrating in Israel's streets, they're going to need that support. The Israel Religious Action Center too, because they are the ones that are fighting in the courts and are ready to organize the rallies along with other Israelis. Become a member of Arts of the Reform Zionist Movement. And I gave you some other organizations to learn about and support. And I'm going to invite you to come and join us in Israel in June. The synagogue is taking a trip. There's a few of us that are going. There's others that are going on your own. I think Israel needs to see American Jews show up, because there's a lot of people who are feeling lonely in their own country. Some of us might have felt similarly in recent years too. So those are the things that I think we can do to start. On the back, I give you a reading list. You all have homework. I expect 14-page papers from everybody who's sitting here. You can pick any of these books from the reading list. Sure, I know. If you want to go further, it's hard to understand Israel besides from headlines. So that's why I gave some very thoughtful contemporary books and some online resources too. It's all on the table by the prayer books. Lastly, we need to sing a song for peace, the same song that Rabin sang right before his assassination. You will... Is it in the prayer book?
It is. And I just have a couple words. This is Shir LaShalom. It should be in your program. And, I don't think it's in the prayer book. I don't think so.
It's not in the...
No.
Oh, it's in the program. It's in the program.
This was written by, the text by Yaakov Rothblatt and the music by Yair Rosenblum. And the text was actually in Rabin's pocket when he was assassinated. What I really love about this piece of, these words is that I think it was Aleha Kot HaNachal who sang it, the musical troupe of the Israeli army. They sang it, this came out between the Six-Day War and the Yom Kippur War, and it was singing the song was an act of resistance, and I think it kind of mirrors the resistance that is going on in Israel right now, and it's a song for peace. So I just want to teach you the chorus. What's that called? Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, so the chorus is the text. Oh, actually, let me see the program. I got it. It is in there? Oh yes. Okay, so 6:58. So Shir LaShalom. So Shir LaShalom Al Tilcha Shutfila. Sing a prayer, sing a shout of peace. Don't whisper a prayer. Try this with me. Shir LaShalom Al Tilcha Shutfila. And then the next verse, Lachen rak shiru shel shalom betzeak hadola. Sing a prayer for peace in a big shout, with a big shout. So let's try that. Lachen rak shiru shel shalom betzeak hadola. So that's the chorus. Let's try it one more time and then we'll sing. Shiru shir LaShalom al tilcha shutfila. Lachen rak shiru shir LaShalom betzeak hadola. From the top. Tnu LaShemesh lahalot laboker leha'ir hazaka shebat filot otanu lo tachzir mi asher kava nero uve'afar nitman bechimar lo yahiro lo yachziro lechan ishotanu lo yashiv mibor tachti tafel kan lo yoilu lo shire hanitzachon velo shire halel. Lachen rak shiru shir LaShalom al tilcha shutfila. לכן רק שירו של השלום בצעקה גדולה. תנו לשמש לחדור מבר לפרחים, אל תביטו לאחור, הניחו להולכים. שאו עיניים בתקווה, לא דרך כוונות. שירו שיר לאהבה ולא למלחמות. אל תגידו יום יבוא, הביאו את היום, כי לא חלום הוא בכל הכיכרות, הריעו לשלום. לכן רק שירו של השלום, אל תלחשו תפילה. לכן רק שירו של השלום בצעקה גדולה. שירו של השלום, אל תלחשו תפילה. לכן רק שירו של השלום בצעקה גדולה.
עלינו לשבח 586, עלינו לשבח